Okay, let's have some fun regarding the Seth Rollins mystery. Is he injured or not? Is it a work or not? Now, we all know there are a bunch of speculations, but let's be honest. Anything is possible in the world of WWE, and quite frankly, something very interesting could happen. Seth Rollins calls himself a visionary. CM Punk goes against Gunther at SummerSlam, and Seth has said that for as long as he is in the business, he will do whatever it takes to make sure that CM Punk can never get his hands on a championship, whether it's the World Heavyweight Championship, the Undisputed Championship, or whatever. We also have a history between Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. Now, hear me out. I've been thinking, right? How could all this tie in? If his injury is, well, a work. I think I figured something out. Perhaps consider this a fantasy booking, or more so than a prediction, right? This is a fantasy booking. So SummerSlam is 2 nights, and we can have some fun with this. The WWE could screw with people's minds and really do something remarkable, or at least different. So night 1 main event. Like every show, we have that thing where different superstars are coming out, we see them entering the building. Of course, we see Paul Heyman with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed as well. Now, during the main event match of Gunther and CM Punk, we get a lot of back and forth, obviously. A couple GSTs and Gunther attempting his chokehold a couple times on CM Punk, and so on, right? During the peak of the match, Paul Heyman casually walks down the ramp with 2 monsters, right? Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. They simply walk around the ring observing CM Punk during a portion of the match. But they don't do much until a point where the referee is distracted or knocked out. However, I'm not really a fan of too many referee bumps. So if they can come up with something creative or something better, that's fine, right? The distraction gives Gunther the chance to put his chokehold on CM Punk, perhaps the 3rd time in the match. Paul Heyman looks at CM Punk, Punk looks at Heyman as he fades. Gunther wins, and that's it. No cash-in, no Seth Rollins, but Seth, via his henchmen, still fulfilled his mission of preventing CM Punk from ever being the champion, or at least becoming the champion on this night. We perhaps see Paul Heyman and the 2 beasts smirking. Now imagine the conversation that gets created by this in the gap between night 1 and night 2. Seth Rollins did not come back. Seth Rollins did not cash in on CM Punk. Paul Heyman, Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker were the only ones there. They managed to screw CM Punk. So, is Seth Rollins actually injured? Maybe Seth Rollins is actually injured. Maybe Seth Rollins is actually injured. You play with people's minds for that moment, right? Because I believe in a 2-night show, Night 1 needs to somehow blend into Night 2. There needs to be a connection between both the nights. So now, Night 2. Perhaps throughout Night 2, along with the matches obviously, we have a furious CM Punk backstage, right? Usually we don't have backstage segments during PLE shows, but maybe we have a couple. We just show that CM Punk is pissed off for being screwed over. Perhaps CM Punk interferes in the Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed match. Maybe he gives Paul Heyman a nice GST. That would be fun to watch. Revenge. Then the main event. Okay, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. It's going to be a banger of a match, man. I don't know what's going to happen. People are saying there's going to be a double, turn. Some are saying Cody Rhodes is going to turn heel, John Cena is going to turn face. But even if that doesn't happen, and maybe we just see a little bit of John Cena turning face again, a good guy, right? That would be fine too. But anyways, back to my fantasy booking, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just cut to the chase. Cody Rhodes beats Cena. And we have a celebration for a couple of minutes. Until Cody looks towards the entrance ramp. Braun and Bronson jump him from behind. Seth Rollins runs in, cashes in the Money in the Bank briefcase. He knocks Cody cold with his stomp. 1, 2, 3. Seth Rollins is the new WWE Undisputed Champion. And just like that, Seth Rollins and his gang hit 2 birds with 1 stone. After screwing CM Punk on night 1 and misleading the public into thinking maybe he is actually injured, he cashes in on night 2. Like I said, imagine the gap between night 1 and night 2, where people are left again just thinking, so is he actually injured? You're playing with people's minds. For Seth Rollins, who calls himself a visionary, quite frankly, this plan of action would be perfect. Plus, we would finally get a Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins rivalry. We would have more edge to the CM Punk and Seth Rollins rivalry as well. Then Seth can cause mayhem on SmackDown. The only thing is, would this mean the rest of the gang would go to SmackDown as well? Is that allowed and realistic? I don't know. Maybe Braun and Breakker can rule Raw as Seth rules SmackDown while they continue being a faction somehow. I'm just fantasy booking, guys. I also feel, like I said, right? A 2-night show needs to somehow have something that moves from night 1 to night 2. Both nights need to have some connection. Either way, something interesting should happen if Seth is indeed not injured. The WWE needs to be creative. Maybe Seth actually just, cashes in on Punk, who knows? Maybe he doesn't appear at all if he's actually injured. We can't really say, right? It's just that, I was just thinking about this, and this, booking that I just came up with, and I was just talking to my wife, and we were just, this just randomly came into my head that, like, this would be a way of just having Seth Rollins' character really just do multiple things at the same time. And there's that psychology that you're playing with the audience's mind, right? In the age of social media where everyone's a fantasy booker, I just did that as well. I understand that, right? There's so many ideas, so many thoughts coming out into the public forum that it's very difficult, I bet, for the WWE to be unpredictable, because I'm sure they're reading all the fantasy booking online, and then they're constantly thinking, oh no, a lot of people think this is happening, we got to make a swerve, right? So sometimes swerves happen just because they wanted to show something which the public is not expecting, right? Even if the swerve does not make sense, just for the sake of just giving something that has not been publicly predicted, on social media, they will just do something different for the sake of it. But I feel that something like this is something which, yeah, it's different, but at the same time, it makes sense because he's screwing CM Punk, right? It creates that surprise element between night 1 and night 2 where people start second-guessing themselves after assuming that it might all be a work, right? Then you have another swerve on night 2 in which Seth Rollins actually does cash in, and you finally move the whole Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes thing ahead. You still have the Seth Rollins and CM Punk thing going, right? And yeah, I just feel this is something which would make that faction interesting, and it goes with his whole visionary trademark. So that's that, guys. Yeah. Let's see what happens, guys. I'm really looking forward to SummerSlam. I'm gonna be at a bar, man, with a bunch of people watching the show live, so that'll be exciting. Anyways, that's that. Please subscribe to my channel. Please check out my other videos. Until next time, peace out. Bye.